my best friend to 23. She left her body and hovered above me. My best friend to 23. I heard the heavens crying above me. They gained an angel, I lost a friend. I felt like dying again and again. I went through hell, stared at death, but I keep fighting with each living breath. I saw no way out from where I stood. Felt like the fire had burned me through. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better. Through the pain, I will go alone. If I fall, break my bones, I will scream even louder. 'Cause I'm not dying alone. I lost my best friend. Lost my best friend to 23. She left her body and hovered above me. I saw no shadow, I looked around, searched every building and home that I found. I saw no shadow, but felt a glow. The warmth inside me, it kept me afloat. It felt like heaven.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Season 4 of the Owlet Tournament. My name is Misfit, and we've got a great match for you tonight. It's going to be Volume 0 versus Otter Oxide. Both these teams looking to make a name for themselves in Stage 2 here, and I'm really excited to be bringing this match to you guys. I'm joined in the booth tonight by Acronator, and I got to ask, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm feeling pretty good. Ironically, I think I casted this exact matchup in Stage 1 of Season 4, so I believe it went better for Otter Oxide, but I think Volume 0 had shown some spunk, not enough to win, unless I am completely mistaken and thinking of an entirely different match, which is possible. I cast a stupid amount of Overwatch, if I'm being honest.
No, I do believe Otter Oxide beat them the last time they met, but Volume Zero definitely has stepped it up since then. We talked about this a little bit on the Nest. Volume Zero was kind of one of those bottom feeder teams, but they were able to take down Los Beavers to be, who have been a rising force in this league right now. So, what do you think the matchup is going to look like between these two teams?
Oh boy, honestly, it's hard to say because there has been a decent amount of time passed since stage one, so they've had some time to potentially get some more coaching, pull their resources together, try and clean up their act a little bit. I do recall Tekio in particular being a rather strong off tank for Volume Zero, so I could definitely see that like rallying around the off tank is sometimes what teams got to do in order to stick together against tougher opponents. On the other hand, Oxide, I'm noticing a few different names from what I last recall, although I am seeing more familiar names currently in spectators, so might be experimenting with some different lineups.
Yeah, no, it is something I was going to point out as well. Many of the starters on Otter Oxide in stage one are currently sitting on the bench, namely Pulse, Varian Rin, and McNewbie. And meanwhile, we have some new names in here, not necessarily new. These players were on the roster, but they hadn't played very much. And that is Jumpy, Bishop, I believe Yellow Cello's only played a couple of maps. Miraculous and Hawk are back. Something to note about Hawk: was a DPS player, couldn't play DPS in stage one, but is now eligible in stage two. He will be back on his traditional role in this stage, something we've talked about quite at length on the Nest. And Big Muzzy, who is a new pickup for Otter Oxide as a flex support, will be in tonight. So definitely keep an eye on those players.
Yeah, it looks like Busan's going to be the first map, and for the most part, this control map, all three rounds are relatively similar, aside from Mech Base, which is kind of like the Brawl Central. But otherwise, Sanctuary and Downtown are a little bit more similar, more homogenous. You might see some Double Bubble or Brawl, but more stereotypical meta as opposed to like Mech Base. That's probably just going to be complete May McCree Brawl, nothing else. I'd be shocked if we saw anything other than that.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's true. I do got to ask, I did watch a lot of, I don't know, did you catch any of the Contenders games this weekend?
Unfortunately not, no.
Oh, okay. Well, they were running a lot of double shield, and I was kind of nervous about it because I'm not sure if we're going to be seeing that more in, the lower tiers of play, down here in Diamond or, in the Platinum games as well. I'm not sure if that's going to make a comeback, but we got to see some really, really high level double shield gameplay in our Contenders matches. Do you think there's any possibility for us to see any of that on this map?
Maybe, however, I don't think we'd see it on something like here, like Mech Base, where it's such a close quarters area that a good brawl or even a decent brawl can just kind of like steamroll their way through. Like the entire point of the double shield is to create as much space as possible and kite, and you can't do that in this tiny little area. I could see it more in the other two rounds of Busan. Yeah, sure enough, we're seeing probably almost entirely Reinhardt plays. Yellow Cello teasing the Wrecking Ball. Don't get too excited. They're still in spawn. I'd expect that to be a Diva or a Zarya coming out. Other than that, yeah, bog standard meta. Not shocking for this round. This is basically all you have to play to find value coming into this. It's really just going to be based off of Mei walls and then which Kree can get more damage in between the shields and the defense matrices.
Yeah, full mirror from both these teams, which is fun to watch, because it comes down to which team plays the exact comp better. Both these teams going to come up to this far side of the high ground. The wall comes out first from Volume Zero, but the second one is better from Otter Oxide, and they're going to find an initial pick onto the Kree. That's a lot of damage now gone for Volume Zero. They're going to have to find a way to make something work here, but they're just kind of fall back a little bit, try to re-engage here. Ifield comes out from Jumpy, keeps his team alive for a little bit longer. Both these teams playing this very, very slow right now. Otter Oxide not really pushing their advantage, just playing around this cylinder in the middle here. The window comes out from Awake, and they are actually going to start to find some picks off this. Otter Oxide missed their window of opportunity, and now they're going to lose this first fight.
One of the, ironically, they do take first control of the point, but this is just clean up. The fight's already won for Volume Zero. One of the more defining factors of this brawl meta is that you have to rush your advantages. That's why it's often called the rush composition. Having lost Softcat so early into that fight, that's a huge portion of damage. That's like 80% of Volume Zero's damage immediately gone. So I was really surprised to see Otter Oxide not push that. Instead, they played really slow, which played perfectly into what Volume Zero wanted.
big wall is going to get soft cat
Again?
out early again. The eye field not there in time. Window comes out, but the shatter catches 5. The bomb up to follow isn't going to find anything. The blizzard out as well. Beat's going to come out from Volume 0. This fight can go either way. Pick's going the way of Otter Oxide right now. Beat unable to keep all the members alive. They are going to take point, and they're going to take this fight.
That's a really costly lost fight from Volume 0. I mean, Tekio couldn't even get into her mech. She got frozen out of it from the blizzard. So he used the bomb, he used the shatter, he used the beats. I think they used the window as well from Awake, but it didn't really matter because they just lost the fight. It really only took, blizzard and I think Jumpy's window possibly. That's really good ult economy if you're Otter Oxide, especially coming into this. You can just toss out bomb or shatter, whatever you feel like, really.
They're gonna kite the blizzard very hard. Eyefield comes out from Jumpy, bomb from Yellow Cello. Neither gonna find too much. The bomb does stave off the aggression from Volume 0, and now with that, they are gonna be able to follow up with some picks. Hawk will go down, but this fight should go the way of Otters.
More than likely, yeah. It's just a few staggers remaining for the tanks of Volume 0, but they are staying alive with the Baptiste in their backline. They do have the window, but I'm not sure how hard they want to commit here.
Oh, Yellow Shell is actually going to get demeched here. So now if Volume 0 wants to back out, there's going to be a window come out from Jumpy. They don't want to give them the chance to get out here. They're going to try to trap them in, but they are going to be able to re-engage with their team. So now both Divas out of mech here. Although this does give us potential for some remech kills, possibly.
Maybe. They happen once in maybe 3 or 4 times in a blue moon. Oh dear. Yeah, these early picks are almost always going in favor of Otter Oxide, and that's going to make the tempo very awkward for Volume 0 to push in when they want.
Yeah, but once again, even though they found the Baptiste and they're ulting this really hard, they have a very clear advantage, and yet they're using ults. Otter Oxide's decision-making this game has been a little bit strange, I feel.
Yeah, honestly, both teams look not quite warm, I guess you could say. Granted, this is a Monday evening, so people probably have school or work to come back home to play this. But either way, Otter Oxide take that mostly demandingly, albeit a little bit clumsy, really, from both sides. But Otter Oxide just had the better play. In general, they had the better target focus, definitely. So even though you'd have Volume 0 finding a pick here and there, opening up these fights with ultimates, it wasn't quite enough. The focus wasn't there. They just kind of like separate and fall apart, which is kind of the cardinal sin when you're playing a death ball comp.
For sure, for sure. No, I do want to mention, we did see Otter Oxide kind of fail to push these advantages that they had. And it looks like they will be opting to stick on this composition. They will be switching the Mei for a Hanzo here. Do you think it will matter as much now that they don't have to play around the Mei wall?
The Mei can find value here, but otherwise it's a little bit awkward because the enemy team can just kite so much more easily. So I don't blame the Hanzo pick. It allows for a lot more burst damage. As long as they can melt Atomic Shield, they should be fine with it.
All right, fight's going to break out at Drum. Volume 0 gets first control pretty heavily. A big fire strike there from Atomic, not eaten by Yellow Cello. And now Otters are going to rotate to the point. They want to try to get first capture here. The fight will break out. Rogue's going to find Bishop. The eye field just a tad late from Jumpy there. And this fight should go pretty handily in favor of Volume 0 as Blue lights up the kill feed.
Few staggers remaining, but Rogue is cleaning most of them up. Softcat keeps dying in these fights rather early, although that wasn't the absolute first. As long as they can find the Lucio, they're playing on top of the drum. I'm not sure what's taking them so long, but they get there eventually, and they will actually get first capture. So it seems like Volume 0, while they have a slower tempo, they do seem to be a little bit faster at pushing their advantages. It's just that they're not finding quite as many advantages, at least compared to the previous, or at least when taking into account the previous round of mech base where they obviously lost that.
Hawk gonna throw that Dragon's right into Tekio's awaiting arms, the defense matrix. Window from Awake will come out, but Miraculous is gonna find Softcat. Bomb missed from Rogue, and now the picks are going more in favor of Otters. The window will be there to match, and they will find the kills needed to win this fight.
You know, I don't really want to harp on it too much. This will probably be one of the last times I point it out for a little while at least. But if you're Softcat, you kind of want to avoid taking these McCree 1v1s because Miraculous has been getting the better of him like almost every single fight. And when you're the McCree in this composition, especially when you're playing the Tracer is not necessarily burst damage, more sustained damage. He's there to clean up kills. It's really Softcat who's going to be the vast majority of poke damage and burst damage for Volumes here, so he's too valuable to die this early in every fight.
Bishop gonna throw the shatter, and it's gonna be big. They're gonna throw the bomb as well to follow up. isn't going to find any kills, but is going to push them back even more. Softcat actually will take out Bishop in a 1v1 that wasn't really in his favor. Congrats to him for at least finding that stagger, but once again, Otter's taking a very commanding victory in this team fight.
Yeah, thankfully for Volume 0, however, the control percentage is relatively even, so by the time they come back, they're not really going to be in dire straits quite yet. They have a decent amount of ultimates to invest into this, probably look for a High Noon or a Shatter if they can get the shield of Bishop down faster.
Dragons comes out again. The eye field will be forced from Awake, and actually, Awake LOSing himself from his own window or his own eye field, and that's actually gonna lose him the fight once that Baptiste goes down. It's kind of a done deal in this brawl meta. You really need that sustain to be able to live through this, and that's another instantly won fight here for Otters.
Yeah, pretty much. The one silver lining there is that Volume 0 really didn't use any ultimates that fight, so they're gonna have basically 6 coming into this next fight. Kavadan's beat is gonna build up so quickly in these brawly encounters.
It's going to be a lot of ults thrown here to no avail for either side, but now Rogue's going to find 2. It's going to be the BAP and the Rhine down for Otters, and there's almost no way they can turn this fight now. 2 very important pieces of this brawl comp going down there.
The nice part about that as well is that Volume 0 really only used about 3 ultimates, so they have a few more to cycle through. They have both support ultimates, crucially, so they have a lot of sustain for this next fight, as well as Softcat's High Noon, so they can try and look for some cheeky flanks if they want, or maybe just stick together. Okay, no, they're just speed boost High Nooning into their face.
Uh-oh. They do find Jumpy, and that's gonna, again, just be a one fight. We're seeing a lot of fights go this way, where it just comes down to there's not really a lot of big fights happening. Both these teams have won a lot of these fights off of early picks here. The only time we didn't see that happen was when Rogue got that 2K pulse bomb.
Pretty much, yeah. Now we're coming into basically 2-fight territory for Volume 0. They're getting up to that 65%. Another 2 fights, they'll be getting closer to 99, whereas Otter Oxide are basically into 1-fight territory already. So this next fight is going to be rather crucial, especially with Otter Oxide taking their sweet time to engage.
And they're going to use the beat here to engage.
Oh, no.
Bishop gets his Shatter blocked, and Awake's window comes out, followed by Aiden's sound barrier. Softfat's going to find Big Muzzy. Yellow Shell will trade it with Atomic. A little bit of a bigger pick for Otter Oxide, and now Hawk on this off angle is going to find more and more value. Rogue's going to take him out, but is it enough? The window will be popped from Jumpy. They're looking to finish it right here. Bishop's going to find Tekio out of the mech. Point Cap's going to go the way of Otters here in just a second. Will Volume 0 be able to touch? Rogue will get there. Quickly will be finished off, and now there are only a few seconds remaining. They're going to have to regroup very quickly and get to this point as fast as they can.
As long as they don't die to this bomb, they have chance, but maybe not. Yeah, okay, well, that was their touch, unfortunately. So Otter Oxide takes that much closer round that time, that go. So I think this series is not quite over yet. Obviously, we still have at least 2 more maps to go, but I think Volume 0 can definitely pull out a map if they just pull it together a little bit more, you know, clean up the slight mistakes, because they're looking good at times. They just kind of get disjointed when the fights break out, and you can see they're getting rather split right there from Hawk's perspective, and that's just shooting fish in a barrel for a Hanzo.
It's a little bit of a strange match. Not really what I expected from either of these 2 teams. We mentioned this very briefly, but again, like especially on that last map there, both these teams seem to be winning off of like initial picks and not really like they didn't really feel like there was any like real brawls happening. And like they were playing Reinhardt and they were playing brawl characters, but they weren't necessarily playing brawl comps, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. It felt like both teams were kind of forcing engagements before they were quite ready, or maybe they just weren't calling their engagements or what have you. Some people were just getting out of position, and that would allow for like Softcat or Hawk or Miraculous to find these random picks left and right and just open up the fights before they really even started. So I guess I'd like to see, ironically, both of these teams kind of slow down a little bit. You know, the composure in the speed can come later, but like first just focus on the composure part as opposed to getting in as fast as possible, because both of them are making a lot of positional mistakes in the early sections of these like pre-engagements, and that would just kind of make for these weird back and forths. Does look like this next map will be Rialto though, so I'd expect to see more of this brawl more than likely, unless they decide to pull out the double shield. This is certainly a map that is viable for it, but I haven't seen it too often lately.
Yeah, no, we see a lot of dive here too as well. A lot of that double bubble you were talking about earlier, and now that actually it looks like Otters have decided to get a little more serious. They are going to put in McNewbie for Miraculous here, and McNewbie obviously a character or a character. He is quite the character, but he is he's a human being too, and he is a very solid player, very talented hit scan player. I was surprised when he wasn't starting initially, but maybe they just wanted to have different looks. Saber known for not wanting to show all of his cards in the first match. Of course, this is Otter's first match of stage 2, so maybe he just didn't want to, show off how good they can be. Maybe keep the other teams guessing a little bit, but they will be summoning McNewbie, and now we will be able to be treated to this McNewbie Hawk DPS line that I've talked so much about. I'm really excited to see what these two finally do on the same team, because they have been so powerful in previous seasons of Owlet. I'm really excited to see what they do now that they're teammates.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, coming into this map, like we said, there's a ton of different variations for compositions that you can play. I wouldn't be shocked to see the defense play like the close hold. The nice thing about that, at the very least, is that they're guaranteed to get a second contest, like a full second contest on first point. So it's really just trying to wear down the clock, which is basically the name of the game in Rialto. It's rather possible to hold on all 3 points. You can get first held, second held, third held, or sometimes you just can't hold at all, and the offense fully captures. It does look like Otter Oxide are opting for defense.
Yes, they will be choosing to defend first here, which isn't too out of the woods in terms of how Overwatch typically goes. You like to set your own bar for yourselves. The match takes a shorter period of time if you just full hold and then cap right away, right? Rather than getting all the way to third point and then having a full hold. It just takes longer that way. That's how a lot of teams look at it. But the other thing is just like, it's nice to know how far you need to push the cart before you actually do push the cart. It's nice to have that win condition already set for yourself if you are able to stop them at any point on the map. And I think that's what Otter wants to do here. What that does, of course, mean we will have a side swap coming in, so the colors will change here. Unless Joey's using colorblind settings, which he might be doing. I'm not sure. He doesn't tell me those things, so. Yeah, no, but you talked a little bit about the compositions here, so tell me a little bit here, the differences between, you talked about Brawl versus Double Bubble. Tell me a little bit about how those different comps will play on this map.
It really depends on whether they're on offense or defense, even, because on defense, Brawl is still going to want to be hyper aggressive, but on defense, they like Double Bubble would want to play a lot more passive, wait for the enemy team to make a mistake, and then kind of pounce on it. Build up some Zarya charge in the meantime, but otherwise it's very passive, as opposed to when Double Bubble's on the offense, they're going to be hyper aggressive, just like a Brawl, except with more mobility. Technically, Double Bubble is a Brawl composition because it's really only the Winston who can dive in. So it really comes down to what these teams are comfortable with. I mean, technically, we can even see a stereotypical traditional dive if they really wanted to. Tekio seems to be more comfortable on the D.Va. I say that with her profile picture being D.Va, so it definitely seems to be a comfort zone there.
Absolutely. I'm also very excited. I do want to see the dive from both these teams, just because I would really love to be treated to the Hawk Echo with the McNewbie Tracer from Otters. Both characters that they are quite known for. McNewbie obviously known for his Widow, was a back-to-back Widow 1v1 champion here in Owlet until he was knocked down off his pedestal recently in the All-Star break. But still, he's a really good Tracer player, and I would love to see them run a composition where we can see the DPS shine a little bit more. I know Hawk does not enjoy being in mage jail and being forced onto the character who can't really make a lot of flashy plays. He is a very talented DPS, loves winning 1v1s, loves taking 1v1s, and I would really like to see on a character that he can pop off on. But yeah, no, we are just waiting for the ready up from one of our teams here. So let's talk a little bit more about Volume 0 and what they need to adjust with. You talked a little bit about tempo and how they're kind of forcing engagements before they're ready and their tempo's a little slow. Tell me a little bit more about that and how they need to change that going into this map.
Well, they can either speed up the tempo, which is dangerous because you had people like Softcat or occasionally like Kaveda or Atomic getting caught out and dying very early. So the other end of the spectrum is just slow down the tempo even further, but play compositions that allow you to play slow, like Double Shield or maybe even Double Bubble. Although at a certain level, you do kind of have to speed it up with Double Bubble, so that's a little bit risky. you could play something like a Rhine Sigma Brawl that's a little bit more like medium tempo-ish. It's a little bit slower, but it just allows them to thrive in not balls to the wall action, but just like take their time, have the sustainability to survive long enough to get comfortable with your plan and go in. Obviously, they can't just stand around and let Otter Oxide roll them over, but certain compositions and the way they can play certain compositions would allow for them to actually have the sustainability, have the tankiness to get away with playing a little bit slower and force more mistakes, because obviously we've seen Otter Oxide likes to play this a rather fast setup. You see a Big Muzzy setting up for a hopeful boop. I'm not sure I've ever seen that at this community level outside of like maybe if you have a community tournament with like, you know, mid GMs playing, but I don't think I've seen it at like the diamond level where these teams are. You know, they're generally not that sneaky.
Yeah, we will see the Brawl versus the double bubble here, and I do like this Mercy coming out from Aiden here. The Mercy obviously so good against this Brawl composition. You can damage boost this Echo, and she can just get so much poking onto the enemy team. I'm liking also where we're seeing Otter set up here. They're going to play on this high ground and give McNewbie some sightlines on that create. And wow, Atomic tries to go in there and doesn't even get a chance to use his cooldowns. It's just going to get burned down by all 6 members, and that is going to be a clean fight win here for Otters.
That looked like a misengage when it should have been a disengage. Realistically, Atomic, they need to cycle their bubbles with Tekio a little bit better, because they looked like they were stacked there. And once the Zarya's team bubble and the Monkey's bubble shield burn away, there's nothing keeping that Monkey alive, especially without a Brig right now, as opposed to the Mercy. There's not as much sustainability, so Atomic needs to be super careful with these jumps.
The drop comes in here for Otters. They're onto the cart now. Atomic's going to take the high ground. I feel does get forced out here from Jumpy, but Hawk is going to finish off Atomic there, and that's going to make this really hard now for the members of Volume 0 to make anything happen. Softcat's just going to be poking in the back line. He's in a good position. I don't hate where he is. They can definitely set some things up with this, but he's going to have to be able to get out alive. If he pokes for too long here, he's going to get chased out by Otters.
I don't know if they want to fully engage, although as I say that, McNewbie goes over and fine. If you're Softcat, you have to expect that's coming when they have a Kree of all things, but I have to wonder if Hawk had expected the double bubble to come out just because he's on the Reaper, and that's not necessarily a common pick, but it's obviously extremely effective at countering the Winston, so it's making... okay, well, I don't think that was intended. I think he was trying to hit the high ground, but got scared off by the Reaper. It looked like a little bit of technical difficulties between Atomic's monitor and keyboard, but either way, he got out of the fight, which at the very least is a good start. Of course, we're a little bit over 2 minutes in, and the card hasn't moved very far. It really only moved to that secondary corner on first point.
Yeah.
You're looking at ultimates. Both teams are rather even, but I mean, Otter Oxide are just chilling at this point.
Window comes out. They're just going to LOS this one, but Taku's actually going to be able to be seen here. She's going to have to use a bit of her defense matrix in order to remain in her mech here. Now the window is down, looking for the engage here. The Nano Monkey comes out as well as the Duke, but Atomic's going to get hit off high ground. The Anti's going to be there, but there's no one to follow up on it. Softcat going to duel McNewbie and lose once more. The Kree flashbang right there in his face. Echo Duke drops the Diva Bomb. Newbie pops the high noon, is unable to find anyone, has to leave before he gets killed by that self-destruct. And now, even though there are some... We've got a foothold here for Volume 0, but they have no damage to follow up on it. Another ult gets popped. It's going to be the Primal from Atomic. Rogue is looking for this Rhine. Dropped the focusing beam, but wasn't able to find anything. Bomb misses from Softcat, and now Hawk is going to pop this Death Blossom, looking to finish off the remaining members of Volume 0. And Volume 0 just threw everything in the kitchen, sink at them to pretty much no avail.
Yeah, at a certain point, at a certain level of play, which we're definitely past, you have to have an actual plan when you're pressing Q. As much of a meme as he can be sometimes in the Overwatch community as a whole. Stylos' slogan, "What's the plan?" is honestly rather useful when looking at these kinds of engagements. You can't just press Q and win. You can get away with it in comp, but not when you're playing a team play like this. You saw Otter Oxide basically invested, 3 ultimates to counter 5.
That was the weirdest bomb shatter I have ever seen in my life. Yellow Shallow messes up the boosters, but they still find Atomic. Thanks to a massive shatter there from Bishop. Oh, no. Bishop's going to take Rogue off the map now. And now this is a 4v5 in favor of Otters. I feel going to come out. It's going to get burned. Hawk's going to finish off Tekio. Softcat does find a pick, though. Possibly could turn this, finds more, but it's not looking likely. I can't see this going any other way. Yellow Cello finishes off Softcat. 2 members of Volume 0 on the card here. They're just going to have to stall it out. They do have the respawn advantage. Any picks here are big, but they're going to be unable to find them, and that is going to be a very nice full hold here from Otter Oxide.
The cart really didn't get that far into the courtyard, which is a little bit painful if you're Volume 0. I mean, it is kind of common to be held a lot closer towards the actual first point. Tekio actually getting a 4K there at the very end after the round had officially ended, so it doesn't even count towards her KDA, but I guess you can take solace in the not play of the game quadruple kill. Either way, it's going to be a tall task for Volume 0 to defend this because the cart didn't really get pushed that far. It's really going to be like, what, maybe 2 fight and a half before the cart really gets moving to where the golden box of victory is, and that's not particularly good.
Yeah, I'm surprised we're not seeing the spawn camp strategy here from Volume 0. You know, they only really have one fight if they set this up like a traditional fight, and I don't like seeing the double bubble from them. It's going to be really, really hard. Obviously, you know, if they play it well, it won't matter, but it's just a little too easy to me to force the cart this way. And I think it would be a lot better if they forced the spawn camp strategy and gave themselves more time, gave themselves a second fight on this first point, because with this double bubble comp, they're only really going to get one.
Yeah, it is a lot riskier as opposed. Well, granted, the cart really didn't move that far, so who knows if they'd have another clean fight if they did take the close holds. It's kind of in that awkward area. The one pick I do like here from Volume 0 is Softcat onto the Ashe. They don't really have anything on the side of Otters to deal with this at the moment. Granted, McNewbie or Hawk can easily just go back and swap. They have time to deal with that, but at the very least right now, the Ashe is mostly uncontested as long as Softcat...
They're taking the high ground behind them now. They're trying to get up onto this high ground, but they don't have their full team here. Gonna get stopped. Yellow Cello is gonna kind of come in from the back, and a big ante comes out from Awake. The eye field is there. No damage is gonna come through, and Hawk is gonna find Atomic. That could be a massive pick here. No main take means no space here for the side of Volume 0, and now they're just gonna get rushed down. The ante's only gonna hit one. Hawk's gonna finish off Softcat, and now this fight is going squarely in favor of Otters.
This is looking like the end of this map. I mean, the defense still has a few stragglers around, but are they even going to be able to touch? Rogue is already low. They will get a brief touch at the very least. Oh, okay. Bishop just cleaning house at the very end there. But, yeah, basically what we expected. Softcat didn't really take the distance that they needed to. The rest of the team didn't really engage onto the nice anti-mates that were being provided to them on their defense, and just kind of existed for a brief period and then didn't let the cart roll in.
Here we just see the 4K from Yellow Cello. Install situations, so maybe a little bit less impressive than normal. But yes, very, very good plays from Otters there. This is a really, really sloppy game. I don't mean that in a rude way. I just think both these teams are playing in ways that are very strange. We're not seeing a lot of disciplined play from either team, and right now, the side that's getting really affected by that, in my opinion, is Volume 0. They took a lot of time off their own time bank on their attack just because of how many times they got picked early or picked between fights. There was that whole section where Atomic got picked first in a fight, and then Softcat in the back line on Tracer got picked, then Atomic got picked again, and that was like almost a minute and 30 seconds just gone from their time bank where there wasn't even a real fight breaking out. And I think Volume 0 needs to clean that up if they want to get back in this game.
Yeah, definitely. I think the double bubble composition may have come back to bite them in the butt. Because, well, a lot of those heroes seem to be their comfort picks. The composition itself is very high risk, high reward. I mean, when you have literal owl teams struggling at the very beginning of the most recent owl season to perform on that composition, you know it's hard to min-max or even get any amount of value at. The skill floor is incredibly high and the skill ceiling is infinitely higher, so it's really punishing if you can't get your bubble timing down right, if the supports aren't in sync with the tanks diving in, and it just created for this giant mess that's really didn't work well for Volume Zero, and the opposing team is Otter Oxide, and they're kind of out mechanicking Volume Zero. That you kind of need to find something outside of just raw performance to uh, get a point on the board. In all honesty.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And we are going to throw it to a very, very short break here. Don't go anywhere if you want to catch the end of this match. We will be going to Kings Row right after this very short break.
I lost my best friend to 23. She left her body and hovered above me. I saw no shadow. I looked around, searched every building and home that I found. I saw no shadow, but felt a glow. The warmth inside me, it kept me afloat. It felt like heaven had found my bones and gave me comfort when I feel alone. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better. Through the pain, I will go alone. If I fall, break my bones, I will scream even louder. 'Cause I'm not dying alone. I lost my best friend to 23. She left her body and hovered above me. My best friend to 23. I heard the heavens crying above me. The gained an angel, I lost a friend. I felt like dying again and again. I went through hell, stared at death, but I keep fighting with each living breath. I saw no way out from where I stood. Felt like the fire had burned me for. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better. Through the pain, I will go alone. If I fall, break my bones, I will scream even louder. 'Cause I'm not dying alone. I lost my best friend.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Otter Oxide versus Volume Zero. This is week 2 of stage 2 of season 4 of the Owlet tournament. Right now, Otter Oxide up 2-0 on Volume Zero, and now we are going to Kings Row. I gotta get your thoughts on this, Acronator. What do you think we're gonna see on this map?
Honestly, probably more brawl from Otter Oxide. They seem to like it. It seems to be a comfort zone. In terms of Volume Zero, I feel like they'd be silly not to run more brawl as well. They looked decent on it in mech base, and actually the Sanctuary Shrine, whichever round that was of Busan. I always get those mixed up. But either way, unless they're going to run the AC 130 for like first point, I don't see any reason for these teams to run anything other than the stereotypical May McCree brawl. Maybe like a McCree Hanzo if they really wanted to get spicy with it, but otherwise standard stuff here. Kings Row's pretty beholden to like the same old composition.
Yeah, no, we definitely are going to see the May Cree come out from our defenders, which will be Otter Oxide. You know, as the winners of our last map, they could choose offense or defense. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. You know, you pretty much always choose defense when you can, just because you get to set your own win condition. If your opponents complete the map, then you have to. But if they don't, then you just have to get to that golden box of victory, and then it's all said and done here. Given what we saw in last map, I don't think it's out of the woods to predict the full hold here from the side of Otters. I mean, they're looking much, much better than Volume Zero right now. Obviously, both these teams playing a little bit sloppy, but so far these fights have been going pretty heavily in favor of Otters for the most part.
Yeah, definitely. Unless someone on Volume Zero kind of wakes up and finds a pick, whether that be one of the tanks to support CPS, doesn't really matter. Just someone has to create an opening and they have to work with it.
Very hard first engage here. This is surprising considering there is no Widow from Rogue still in spawn. They will be back onto the main now. And actually, wow, in the 5v6, it's actually going the way of Volume Zero. Otters didn't kite it hard enough, and now they are going to lose this first point. Maybe a bit of a caster curse from my end, but that's going to be Volume Zero taking a very dominant first point over Otter Oxide.
Honestly, it looked like Bishop just got a little bit too hyper aggressive because when you have like the D.Va versus the Zarya brawl, normally the Zarya brawl allows for a more aggressive approach, which I think is what they were expecting, but I don't think they were expecting Volume Zero to just go face first into them like that because they hadn't been doing that the entire series, but it worked thus far to the point where Yellow Cello has foregone any Graviton Surge charge and went over to the D.Va.
I do like the D.Va swap, though. Does allow them to play a lot faster. Don't have to wait on those cooldowns in the bubble. And that's a big wall. Going to get both the tanks out there. The I-field's not going to be quick enough. Tekyu's going to get DMAC'd. Atomic is going to fall, and that is going to be a very nice fight win for Otters. They're going to run them all the way back to their spawn.
Crucially as well, notwithstanding the stagger onto Awake, Otter Oxide now gets to hold this choke point right after first point, which is honestly one of the hardest choke points to break. I'm going to be very interested to see if and how Volume Zero can do so. Granted, they have just under 5 minutes because of that beautiful first point take. So, okay, they just let him go through.
There's the amp. The wall is not there, but the blizzard is. The I-field will come out, but it is a 5-man blizzard from Hawk there, and that is going to be a very, very clean fight win from Otters.
Unfortunate that Softcat invested the High Noon, but at the same time, that's not the worst ultimate to lose in that case, as well as the fact that on the flip side of things, you have Otter Oxide really only investing the Blizzard as well, so both of these teams still have quite a lot to work with here. I'd expect both windows to probably come out early into this fight, as well as probably Rogue looking for that Blizzard.
Yeah, Otter's going to give up a bit of space here, and that's going to allow the Maywall to come out. The Shatter is big, but the Blizzard from Volume Zero is going to be here. It's going to freeze up all the members of Otters, and that is going to be a very, very nice fight win from Volume Zero.
Honestly, really good from Volume Zero. Like you said, good target focus. Granted, it's a lot of zero focus targets when they're not moving around, but you take those. Unfortunate that Bishop couldn't get anything out of his Shatter as well, so that's something he's probably going to be wanting back, but is going to have to build his way up to another one. In the meantime, you have Shatter on the side of Atomic from Volume Zero. If he can find a good way to thread the needle, this could be rather large.
The bomb's going to come out from Tekio. Not going to find anybody. He's going to force the High Noon back. McNewbie is going to get Tekio before she gets back in her mech. Jumpy will fall. The bomb comes out from Yellow Cello, and he gets two. One with the remech, one with the explosion. Otter Oxide taking firm control back here on this second point. Not going to let the second point cap come through.
However, if you're Volume Zero right now, you can't really be worrying too much because you have some DPS ultimates that are going to be cycling through. The only thing you really have to worry about right now from the defense is going to be the Blizzard, which, I mean, Tekio has eaten ultimates in the past, so maybe. And on top of that, you have 3 minutes, so this really isn't dire straits for them quite yet. They have plenty of time. They can build up more ultimates. They can take a dry fight. Granted, there's not really much of a dry fight to take right now. No reason to.
Watch Hawk now on this flank, gonna try to get away from the D.Va here. He's actually gonna get stunned out of it. Softcat there with the flashbang, and Hawk is a little out of position now. Gonna get the I-field from Jumpy, but that's a resource they're gonna want back. The Maywall comes out from Rogue, doesn't get any of the members isolated from Otters. Atomic's gonna get frozen up. The Shatters through from Bishop, and despite all odds, Otters is gonna take that fight back.
Really good composure from Otter Oxide to deal with losing the Blizzard so early into that fight. Granted, I think even if it wasn't stunned out, Tekio was staring straight at Hawk with her defense matrix, so probably would have gotten eaten if it wasn't stunned out, but whatever, it got stunned out, so you didn't need to worry about eating it. Either way, now you have a decent ultimate advantage coming in for Volume Zero. They're gonna have the Blizzard, they're gonna have the High Noon, they have the Window, and on the flip side of things, you really only have the High Noon and the Window for Otter Oxide, so the Blizzard is really the big thing coming into this next fight for Rogue.
Look at this rotation. They're going to make a rotation so they can use the Window here. Dueling windows coming out. Now the high noon from McNewby. He's going to hold it for quite a long time, and he is going to be able to fight Saltcat. Yellow Cello now eats the Blizzard from Rogue, and just as we thought Volume Zero might have had something to work with, they're going to lose it in the final hour.
Atomic got stunned out of Shatter as well, so that's tragic. However, they are trying to make this comeback, but with just Lucio heals. Actually, I don't even think they had Lucio heals. No, actually, Aiden had gone back to try and escort Awake, but that left the entirety of Volume Zero with no heals, and now they're getting a little bit tight on the time bank. Granted, they did force a decent amount of ultimates out of Otter Oxide as well, so they're not looking too bad in regards to the economy, but they have to actually work with what they've got now. They don't really have too many more opportunities to push for second point. If they can capture second point, that's going to be rather large.
Yeah, Yellow Shell's still out of the mech here. Gonna be going for the remech kill, and he's gonna get both supports!
Are you kidding?
No! Please revert that danger, and Keller, get it out of my game. I cannot believe what I'm seeing. That is just an easy fight win. Just when we thought Volume Zero would have an advantage with the Yellow Shell out of mech, he completely turns that on his head, is able to charge the remech up, and now they're gonna stagger this baby diva. There's not gonna be a final fight scenario. They're just gonna have to play for a final touch here from Volume Zero.
There are ultimates on both sides, but with Hawk already having the Blizzard and Sekio completely out of the fight, I'm not sure how Volume Zero approached this. They have to play it split, but they don't really have that luxury.
The Blizzard and Beat are going to come out from Otter Oxide. All the ults getting thrown out, and I don't think there's going to be a touch here. I think Otters have secured themselves with a second point hold here on Streets Phase of King's Row.
Yep. However, Volume Zero did get it just about 2 second point before getting stopped on the first push they got up to there. So at the very least, they have a decent amount of space to defend. Second point is definitely holdable, if not first point, although that one's a little bit harder to deal with. But there's a lot of time and space to work with. As long as they don't get rolled over, Volume Zero can certainly make something out of it.
Definitely still a winnable game here for Volume Zero. It isn't like Rialto where they had one fight to work with here. They're going to have multiple. They have this first point, and they have the entirety of Streets Phase to work with. They were able to push it about 3 meters away from the final checkpoint, or I should say the checkpoint on second of King's Row. But now we might get treated to a little bit of a strange composition here from Otter Oxide. It looks like they might be putting Hawk on the Genji. Normally, I would say there's no way, considering that, you know, there's no reason to run Genji in Brawl, but considering that that is one of Hawk's favorite characters, and that he does try to play it whenever possible, it wouldn't surprise me too much if they let him run out on it.
Ironically, that might end up being a good counter to the rogue Junkrat that's currently hiding underneath the statue. Not exactly the position I'd expect the Junkrat to be hiding, especially when you have a perfectly good choke point to spam into and build up ult charge. But no, unfortunately, Hawk will be going over to the Hanzo, so no cybernetic ninja play right now.
Rogue gonna be in this tiny corridor, gonna get a lot of damage out, and that eye field will get traded. Awake will have to use his, and now Hawk is gonna find that pick on to Rogue. You were saying that he was gonna counter Hawk's Genji pick. Maybe he heard you, took it a little personally, and that opening pick is gonna secure this fight for Otters.
And that's really not good for Volume Zero. Like I said, they had a lot of time and space to work with, but they can't give up any space nor time to Otter Oxide because the cart doesn't have too far to go. I mean, it's really just the Streets Phase and that's it. So they really are going to have to push up and hold this choke point as much as possible because this is one of the last opportunities to hold for a long period of time.
Yeah, and watch out now. The Grab Dragons is getting very close to being online here. We have seen Tekio able to eat ultimates time and time again, but to eat both of them is going to be a pretty tall order here. Hawk only one shot away now from his ultimate here. We'll see if they even decide to combo it. Maybe they don't even want to wait for Yellow Shell to farm up this grab. They're going to be taking the fight at Bookstore here. Dueling windows come out, and the Shadow from Bishop doesn't find enough. Softcat's going to pick them off, and Otters are just going to take this one back, save their ultimates, and live to fight another day. Or not.
Well, they still want to engage, but I'm not sure how much they'll be able to, especially with Jumpy getting caught out like that. Yeah, that's going to be that. And now Volume Zero actually have control of this choke point. So I'm not entirely sure how much it matters with the Grab Dragons now online, because it's going to be a little bit more awkward to even get past the choke to push forward and press Q. As long as Volume Zero don't just let them walk forward, that would be tragic.
Yeah, there's no beat either to stop this Grab Dragons. The grab is going to find 2. The High Noon is there. Can they break it? The Rogue is going to find 3 with the Junkrat tire, and it's not going to matter. The ult combo gets completely negated by the DPS from Volume Zero. What an excellent play there from Rogue.
Not a particularly costly fight for Volume Zero either. It was both DPS ultimates, but they have basically all the rest of their ultimates online, and by the time they cycle through those, they're going to have the DPS ultimates up once again. Rogue basically going to be guaranteeing a kill every single time he tosses out the tire, so that's going to be rather valuable, and right now this is a great position for the cart to be stopped.
Yeah, no, this is a really, really hard choke to break. A lot of damage coming through, and Atomic is going to hit an absolute Atomic Shatter into the back line. Not going to find any kills off it, which is a little bit too far ahead, but the picks do come through off the back of that window from Awake, and Volume Zero right now has a death grip on this chokehold.
You say that, but they just invested both support ultimates on top of each other, which is quite painful in all honesty, because while they are going to have their DPS ultimates within the next couple seconds, like 10-15 seconds, it's gonna be difficult because they don't have any emergency buttons, I guess you could say. They don't have any beats. They're gonna have the lamp, that's about it. Interesting rotation here from Otter Oxide. I'm not sure why they're going all the way around.
I really like this, actually. They're going to give McNewbie the High Noon. They're going to window here. McNewbie should pop it. They're actually going to wait to push back up, actually. And now they forced Volume Zero into a position where it's almost like they're attacking. Softcat's going to get hit with a Shatter. The beam will come out from Big Muzzy. McNewbie's going to pop that High Noon. Get 2. Rogue's Junk Tire, if I'm not mistaken, Bishop was able to fire strike it. And that was kind of the ultimate they were relying on to win in this fight. Now that that's gone, obviously going to go the way of Otters, and off the back of a very interesting rotation, no less.
You can't allow your tire to get destroyed like that, especially not after your team had just taken out Jumpy's lamp. That was so many free kills in the making for Rogue. That was very much the win button for Volume Zero, and now what do they have? They have High Noon, and that's it.
They are going to be able to wall this High Noon. It will not be able to find any members of Otters. And now we see an even fight on both sides. Neither team really getting any ultimates here. Both Ryan's approaching their Shatter, though. Both Divas approaching their Bomb. It's going to come down to these tank ultimates and who can get them online fast enough. But the wall is huge from Hawk, and Atomic going low, but he does find the Shatter. He's able to kill Bishop. The Shatter hits 2. Rogue gonna find a pick onto McNewbie, but this fight is still very scrappy. Could go either way. It's looking favorable for Volume Zero right now, though, as the members of Otter Oxide will go back. They're not looking to fight this. Hawk is gonna get staggered out, and now Volume Zero re-establishing control of second phase.
This is rather crucial because right where the cart is now, it's about even in terms of respawn advantage. It's maybe a little bit more towards the defense, but as it pushes backwards, it's going to be a little bit more even once again. Coming into this next fight, though, the big ultimates I'm going to be looking at are Hawk's Blizzard and Rogue's Riptire. Rogue's Riptire in particular is probably going to be the win condition for Volume Zero. If they can finish this fight cleanly and, you know, drag it out a little bit to kill some time, this could be pretty gnarly for them.
Oh, Jumpy's actually used the eye field already. I'm not sure what for. No one was going low, and that's the go button. Rogue has popped the Riptire. The High Noon's going to come out from Softcat as well. Won't find anything. The Tire also will not find anything. That's 2 ults down to Volume Zero. But the Blizzard gets eaten. Tekio there with a hero play, able to save that for her team. The Shatter's going to come out as well. Hits both the tanks. The window comes out too. This is just ults being thrown left and right. Who's going to find the advantage here? It's looking like Otters. But as I say that, the trades come through, and the red is lighting up the kill feed. Volume Zero able to reestablish control here. And with 30 seconds remaining, it's looking like Volume Zero has a real shot to win this.
Tekio eating that Blizzard may have just won them this entire map, because there was nothing that Volume Zero had to deal with that other than just canceling it out. And she did just that. That was not only incredible play, but that was beyond necessary. Now, what do you have if you're Otter Oxide? You can touch the point, I believe. They should be able to get a touch, but like you have High Noon, you're going to have beats, but Softcat's going to have the High Noon as well. Atomic's going to have another Shatter.
Softcat's gonna pop the ult early, not gonna find anything, and Rogue is gonna find Hawk, and that one could be huge. No walls available now. The Shatter comes out, gets blocked by Bishop, but McNuvy's gonna fall. Beat there to sustain, but it gets matched by Aiden. Right now, Volume Zero in firm control here, but Jumpy's gonna find the big damage. That Junkrat for the side of Volume Zero. Window comes out, forces Volume Zero back. The fight could still go either way. It's an overtime push now. Respawn's coming through for Otter Oxide as they get back to this point. Bishop shield lands the Shatter. It's gonna hit 3. The Baptiste will fall into the hands of Hawk. And now, what looked like such a winnable fight for Volume Zero is turning back in favor of Otter Oxide. They're finding the picks. They're finding the damage. There's nothing they can do, and Otter Oxide might be able to take King's Row.
They more than likely will, as the kills are just coming completely in favor of Otter Oxide, and that's going to be not so clean 3-0, but a 3-0 nonetheless. They can put that one behind them and just mock it up to Mondays, I suppose.
Just in case the Mondays, you know, it happens. Yeah, no, definitely a very intense final fight there. A really good job by the supports of Otter Oxide, making sure there was no opportunity to finish off the remaining members there. That beat was so big from Big Muzzy, and they were able to sustain even farther. And they're able to sustain long enough for the respawns to come through, and they're able to find the damage. I gotta give props to Bishop, though. Hit a massive shadow near the end that was able to set his team up for success, and that was the really big reason why they were able to finish off that final fight.
Yeah, definitely. We will be looking to get an interview in just a moment. We're going to be asking the team who they want to send in, so stick with us, folks, while we get that set up. We'll be right back.
I lost my best friend to 23. She left her body and hovered above me. I saw no shadow. I looked around, searched every building and home that I found. I saw no shadow, but felt a glow. The warmth inside me, it kept me afloat. It felt like heaven had found my bones and gave me comfort when I feel alone. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better. Through the pain, I will go alone. If I fall, break my bones, I will scream even louder. 'Cause I'm not dying alone. I lost my best friend to 23. She left her body and hovered above me. My best friend to 23. I heard the heavens crying above me. They gained an angel, I lost a friend. I felt like dying again and again. I went through hell, stared at death, but I keep fighting with each living breath. I saw no way out from where I stood. Felt like the fire had burned me for. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better. Through the pain, I will go alone. If I fall, break my bones, I will scream even louder. 'Cause I'm not dying alone. I lost my best friend.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Season 4 of the Owlet Tournament. We just wrapped up the Otter Oxide versus Volume Zero match in a very clean fashion. Otter's taking it 3-0 over Volume Zero. We are joined in the booth tonight by Yellow Cello. How you doing tonight after this win?
Hey, they're pretty good. I mean, 3-0s always feel great, right?
For sure, for sure. Now, I gotta ask, we talked a lot on the Nest about the McNewbie Hawk DPS line, and you guys didn't actually come out on that initially. Is that just a control map thing with Miraculous, or was there a reason you didn't play McNewbie initially?
No, there isn't like a particular reason we don't play. Like, our hits get. I mean, not just hits. Our DPS players between Pulse, Mirak, Newbie, and Hawk are really talented. I know you hyped up Newbie and Hawk a lot, but I mean, rest assured, all our DPS are pretty darn talented. So we rotate them out pretty evenly in scrims and such as well. So you're not gonna just expect Hawk and Newbie the entire time. We can throw anyone at you.
All right. Well, I do have a question for you, and this pertains to that last map. Actually, the last fight of that last map. So going into your final push onto King's Row, you guys looked a little bit worried, dare I say. So what were your comms like going into there after having just lost your Blizzard to, I believe, a stun or getting it eaten or something along those lines, and lost basically all of your win conditions?
I think it might have been eaten, and like, I mean, props to their diva on that. I think, but I mean, regardless, I think we were just like trying our best to like keep it calm. Like I think that like just keeping targets on, keeping comms, and like fight planning regardless. Like we're trying not to get too flustered by anything. So like I mean we weren't like the perfect picture of calmness or anything, but I think we were still like
Still in control.
I think we were coping fine with it.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. I guess a question that I like to always ask, obviously we get to see the members who are popping off in the kill feed and stuff, but we don't get to see your comms. We don't get to see, the people making sure the team stays together. So is there anyone who you feel kind of goes unnoticed on the Otters roster that you want to shout out real quick now that you have the platform?
I mean, always Saber and Crit do so much work behind the scenes. Like Saber had the picture of him with like 12 tabs open just doing prep earlier, so he puts in a lot of work. Crit puts in a lot of work scouting everything, so we have a pretty good idea of what we can expect. So props to them on that. As far as within the team itself, of course Newbie and Hawk always pop off, but Muzzy's ult tracking is very, very, very good, and his leadership's always really strong. And then Bishop's just the funniest guy. So he always keeps things light. It's great. It's just a really nice team right now. And then thanks to Pulse for like the little side coaching on off tank when I'm playing that as well.
It's always nice. No, I think that just about wraps it up. Any more questions for him, Acronator?
Just one more. This is going back towards the beginning of the series where it felt like you guys were finding these random picks at the start of like every single fight. Was that something where you were trying to force your opponents into like unfavorable positions for your DPS, or was it just kind of like happenstance where, oh hey, they got a pick, let's go in?
Yeah, I don't think we're particularly positioning it. I mean, we do have particular plans on where we want to take fights and such, and that's probably based on like taking space so our DPS have good angles. But other than that, I don't think we're trying to hurt them or anything. I mean, all of our DPS are just crazy. They just do so much damage all the time. So they will just find picks before when you blink a couple times. So it's probably like a mixture of like our coaches trying to get us in good spaces and our DPS just being nuts.
All right.
All right. Well, then I think that just about wraps it up for us here at the Owlet tournament. Congratulations on the victory tonight, Yellow, and thank you for joining us for the interview.
Thanks so much. Have a good night, y'all.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. And I want to give a quick shout out to the Owlet tournament for letting us produce this match. It was always a fun time with them. Quick shout out to Joey, our producer, who I love very, very dearly, of course, as you all know. Shout out to you, Acronator. Thank you for casting with me. You did a great job tonight. And yeah, I think that just about wraps it up. Any final thoughts?
No, I think everything's been laid out on the table.
All right. Well, then that is going to do it. Thank you, everyone, for coming out and supporting the Owlet tournament. Good luck in your rank games tonight, and we'll see you next time.
My best friend to 23. She left her body and hovered above me. I saw no shadow I looked around, searched every building and home that I found. I